Okay, just because occasionally love being sadistic, leaving everybody on a perfect cliffhanger. I'm an author, so I know how to do that. We left off with, I asked the question about, okay, you mentioned about coming up with alternative programs and even alternative schools for young people that, I don't like to use the term kids, young adults, young people, students that do need that. But the first question that's always asked is, about everything is, where are we going to come up with the money? Now, other than using the traditional route of, filling out the paperwork, begging, kissing ass, et cetera, to try to get the federal and state money, are there ways that even public schools could raise funds on their own, or like the school districts, alternative ways that they could raise funds that maybe have been forgotten about, or new methods that they're afraid to try?
Well, I think for something as big as this, it would take more than just like fundraising. It would take something, it would take grants from the state, but also we have in Allentown, it's called Graduate Allentown. It's a new initiative. It's CIS, which is Communities and Schools, in conjunction with the Allentown School District. It's to increase the graduation rate, decrease the dropout rate. So to me, an alternative education center for elementary school students fits into that big picture, because if they are going to a traditional school and they're getting in trouble, they're not learning, they're not functioning, it's not productive for them, more than likely when they get to Allen or Dero and they're able to drop out, they will drop out. So for me, this is dropout prevention. And in that sense, there is plenty of money. CIS, they solicited all of the, not all, but many of the different corporations. And because of their soliciting, we were able to hire 3 outreach people additional at Allen and 3.
Congratulations, nice job.
So they were able to do that within like just a couple months. I introduced the resolution in March 2014. Next thing I know, I'd say about June 2014, this conversation is happening. So if they can raise that kind of money within a couple of months, just to hire 6 people, imagine what can be done with a more long-term approach, where if we really want to decrease the dropout rate, why wait until high school? Why even wait till middle school? Why not get them when they're in elementary school? So if I'm J.B. Riley, or if I'm Fred Topper, or if I'm Jandal, if I'm any of these developers, or if I'm a CEO at one of these new companies, I want an educated workforce. I want a young man who knows how to conduct himself when he walks by my business, not go into one of my employees' cars and steal because he can't get a job, and he can't get a job because he didn't graduate, and he didn't graduate because no one ever reached out to him when he was in elementary school and he was threatening to kill the teacher. So it's all related. If we want downtown to be safe, well then people...
Well, the whole city in general, because,
Yeah, so if we want that to happen, if we want this renaissance to really be successful, not just for the buildings, but for the people themselves, then people need money. They need to feel secure. They need to feel safe, and that's not going to happen if they can't graduate from high school. That's step 1, let alone go on to get some type of certification. And if I'm looking at... Or
attend one of the many colleges in the area.
We have the community colleges, anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, I'm looking today at the school I was at, and I'm seeing, unfortunately, I can almost identify the kids just by their behaviors and their actions, the ones who will more than likely, unless someone intervenes, they will probably not make it. And if they do make it, they will graduate with a diploma that means nothing, because they won't know how to complete a resume. They won't know how to network and how to navigate the whole employment situation. So once again, let's stop it. We have all these billions of dollars being invested downtown. Meanwhile, we have kids who are going through horrible things. I'm not blaming the kids. I'm not even blaming their families. I'm blaming the fact that people are put in situations where they have to learn how to cope, and some people do a better job at coping than others, and kids who are going home to see their mom abused, their dad shoot up, and violence in their neighborhood, and there's no peace, no quiet.
Or go home and see their parents doing drugs and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, that messes with your mind. And these kids, I was knocking on doors out in the West End, ran into a school psychologist, not for ASD, but for another school district. Forget the term she used, but basically she was saying that so many of our kids are on like this kind of hyper alert all the time, because when they go home, they need to constantly be aware of what's going on in their home, because at any moment, dad could come and hit them. Mom could leave in a hysterical mood, crying. Baby brother could swallow something that someone left. They're always in a state of just hyper awareness and making sure that they can survive. And if their younger siblings can survive, then they come to school and they can't switch it off. So that when a teacher comes and just simply asks a very simple, innocent question, to them it's what's that, fright or flight kind of thing, where they're always in this fighting mode, because that's how they survive at home and that's how they survive on the street, and they don't know how to switch it off when they get to school and realize, I don't need to do that here, I'm safe, I'm good. And unless we get, once again, counselors in there, maybe it's a losing battle. And then we also have to think about the kids who are going home, and they are basically the adults at home. They are the mature one. They're the ones paying the bills. They're the ones making sure mom's all right, making sure little brother's all right. And then they go to school, and they're treated like a child. And in their mind, they can't make that transition, where at home, I am the mom. Even though I'm 13, I am the mom, I am the dad. But then they go to school and someone's telling them what to do. They're used to telling people what to do, and that's a whole different mindset. And I don't know how we as a district help them to overcome that without bringing in outside resources. To me, I know a child that goes to executive education, and every morning they start off their day with kind of like a therapy session. They just talk. And if someone's really going through something, they pull them out and they go one-on-one with someone. And if they need outside
That's the way it used to be, though, too.
That's the way it
if you had something traumatic you were going through, you missed classes because you were sent to a guidance counselor. You were sent to the guidance counselor. So that's the way things used to be also. So what you're suggesting overall is that maybe it's time to return to a point, not completely, but to a point, to looking back at the past and say, okay, well, this is what used to work. Let's give this another shot in today's society, even though our society has changed and a lot, especially through technology, kids getting pregnant now and everything. But let's give this another shot, because if nothing else, something else didn't work, at least we tried. Is that something?
Yeah.
To a point, not completely, but to
a point. I mean, to say that our guidance counselors, I think the ratio is one. I know by the American Psychological Association, the ratio is supposed to be 250 students to every one guidance counselor. There is not one school in the Allentown School District that has that ratio. Everyone's above that. So even if we were to go back to that system, what we have in place is inadequate. One guidance counselor for 300 students, there's all 300 of them probably have some issues. And there's no way he or she is going to be able to handle that. So either we need to get an outside agency in who can help handle that, or we need to refer them to an outside agency. I prefer to get them in, because then you know that they're getting it. If the kids know that on Tuesdays and Thursdays, there are the shrinks, and they can go at a certain time in the day, then that gives them a sense of, you know what, someone's here to listen to me. Let me hang on till Thursday so I can get this out. Even if it's just starting something small like that. And it doesn't have to be a whole district thing. Let's try it. Let's pick a middle school, give it a try. If it works, great. If it doesn't, then, well, I guess we learn from our mistake. We try so many other things we throw money at. We throw money at curriculum, millions of dollars, hundreds of thousands sometimes at curriculum. And sometimes it's proven, sometimes it's not. Well, why not try this? Why not try? Let's see what would happen if we just concentrate on mental health in our schools and see if that helps.
I'm sure that would help across the board, even in athletics.
Yes.
Which is always the big money maker, especially for high schools, you know, to bring the, so I'm sure that would help even in the athletics departments and I think it still exists, the arts in some schools. I think that part still exists.
Yeah.
Now we're going to wind this out. Here's your chance. Okay.
Yes.
You're